So, what is the OTC, the Office of Technology Commercialization?
So the OTC is a key player in translating the university's research from the innovation state into a real world impact. They help bridge the gap between academic discoveries and commercial solutions. That can include everything from IP management to helping spin outs and startups based on that Georgetown technology. So think of us more as a launch pad for innovative ideas that help them meet and develop their business strategies to take those ideas to market.
Who becomes the CEO of organizations like this? It almost seems like once this technology is translated into a business form, these researchers continue to support this technology. However, the actual management of the technology is done by other people. Who are these other people? Can you give us a brief summary of who you are and what you do?
So my name is Christon Hill. Currently, I'm at Georgetown's Office of Tech Commercialization, or OTC, and I work in Georgetown Tech Ventures, which is sort of the entrepreneurial arm of that office.
So what is the OTC, the Office of Technology Commercialization?
So the OTC is essentially the key player in translating the university's research from the innovation state into a real world impact. They help bridge the gap between academic discoveries and commercial solutions. That can include everything from IP management to guiding the researchers through that actual patenting process, negotiating their licensing and options, as well as with me helping spin outs and startups based on that Georgetown technology. So think of us more as a launch pad for innovative ideas that help them meet and develop their business strategies to take those ideas to market.
It's almost like this office is trying to encourage a lot of researchers to really engage with the applications of the research that they're doing. And your office shares with a lot of these scholars and academics how they can better approach the business market with their research ideas. Is that an accurate understanding?
Yes. So that's absolutely part of it. Another component is that because some of these technologies are so early stage, that in order to develop them further to get to that minimum viable product, they need funding. And that's not always available through academic institutions or philanthropic donations. Sometimes you have to build a business around it, attract investors so that you can get to that goal of developing the technology beyond theory into that true form application.
And how does your office help to provide funding to these types of researchers?
So for some of the early stage technologies, we have what we call the gap fund. Researchers apply, and then it goes to a board that reviews it. And some of the criteria for that is one, that has to be good science. Obviously, that's paramount. Two, there needs to be some sort of defined or at least understood path to commercialization. Is this innovation something that the market is asking for? Because as you know, good science, not always good business. And another component to that is that this gap fund, the long-term goal is to become evergreen so that the revenue from this technology that's been funded, whether that be through license option or spin out, once you start to see those returns, whether in the form of royalties or actually earned revenue for a business, it will refill that gap fund so that more of these technologies can be funded at those very early stages where it's a little more difficult to attract maybe outside investors.
I think you bring up some pretty interesting points there, Christon. What you said about good research does not always mean good business. How does your office try to find that balance between research and business?
So there's a number of initiatives that we have underway to try and make that marriage a little more harmonious. One of those would be we have a faculty entrepreneurship academy, and that's a training pipeline for these researchers. And then we also have our advisor program where we do a one-to-one matching between those inventors or principal investigators, PIs, that are looking to spin out a company. We match them one-to-one with someone who has expertise in a particular pain point, as well as what we call our Innovation to Impact seminar series, where we have folks that are, again, subject matter experts in different areas, whether that be early stage funding, representatives from incubators and accelerators in the ecosystem come in and explain different steps in that entrepreneurial journey and how to do it. It's also part of our programming is untraining the bias that money or business or entrepreneurship are somehow inherently dirty words when it comes to science. It's not to say that our scientists are anti those things or that our researchers are anti those things. It's just that traditionally it has been about patenting your technology and publishing about your technology. And now we're sort of shifting the culture to where it's really more about, okay, yes, you invented this thing and that is incredible. Now it's time to get it into the hands of those end users and really either improve their lives or show them a better way of doing things.
And in your experience working with these researchers or academics or students, what have you found to be the biggest challenge of commercializing these types of research into market technology?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a completely different skill set to build a business than to, let's say, build a platform technology. A researcher who spent 30 years studying and then developing their technology, how can we possibly expect them to then also know what the regulatory hurdles are and what a cap table is? So that's part of the pain points in the journey that they have. And that's why we have the resources to try and ease that transition. Also, part of that programming is informing a lot of these researchers that, yes, you may be a founder, but you likely won't be the CEO of this company, which is not to say that they're not capable of doing it. It's just to say that if you want to keep your tenured position, there's no more stressful or time consuming job on the planet, in my opinion, than being a CEO for the first 5 years of a company. And a lot of these researchers just don't have the time to do that. You know, if you're the head of oncology at the university hospital, you probably don't have time to professionally panhandle.
So then who becomes the CEO of organizations like this? It almost seems like once this technology is translated into a business form, these researchers continue to do their research to support this technology. However, the actual management of the technology is done by other people. Who are these other people?
We have a number of options open to our researchers when they want to make that move or make that transition. One, we work really closely with the business school, the MBA program, as well as the Master's of Business Administration in healthcare. So they can offer students that can serve as fractional C-suite folks, really pushing those companies out of the university and into the ecosystem. We also have a collaboration right now with BioHealth Innovations, or BHI, and they have, EIRs, entrepreneurs and residents that can work with these companies and really help them form those business plans and serve sometimes, in some cases, as C-suite executives. And then also some of our advisors are able to make that transition from mentor to participant in some of these early stage companies. So there's a number of options available to them. It's just really finding the right fit. Also, some of these technologies can be licensed out to different startups that have their own C-suite already set up.
If I am a founder and I'm interested in working with Georgetown's office, how can I get involved?
First and foremost, go to the website, follow us on LinkedIn. We post about our technologies pretty consistently and about the activities that we have underway. Also, we have most of the portfolio published on our Flintbox, which that link is readily available on the website. Look through the technology portfolio, see who the licensing manager is, and reach out to them. Just look me up on LinkedIn. And if you have an interest in any of the technologies that we have available, I'm happy to at least facilitate the initial conversation.
For sure. And we'll link your profile in the descriptions as well. What is a licensing manager and what do they do?
They're involved from the early stages of the technology. From the moment that invention is disclosed, that goes to one of the licensing managers. They review it. They bring it to one of our staff meetings. We review it as a team. From there, they contact the researcher, have a conversation about what their long-term plans are with it, look at either licensing it as is in their title or looking for a strategic partner to help develop it further.
In the technologies that you've worked with at Georgetown, what have you seen to be the formulas to success of transitioning a technology or a research into an applicable technology to the market?
Uh, well, as I mentioned, really thinking about the commercialization early on in the research process. If the researcher is involved, that makes our jobs a lot easier. We have that touch point. Like, I don't understand this particular portion of it. What does this mean? How is it different than this other technology? Being able to reach out to the person that made it is always a nice thing to have. In addition to that, I would say a willingness to learn on both parts. Like, one, the researcher has to be willing to learn about the business side of things. And even more so, I would say, is that those on the business side need to be willing to learn about the technology. Like, what is its true to form intended use? Also adaptability, not being afraid to say, okay, it was designed for this reason, but here's this other application.
It sounds like for a successful partnership between a researcher with the business people, it's really important to have that open communication channel ahead of time to make sure that from the get-go, this technology is well designed for the market needs. Now, tying that back to Georgetown then, Christon, what is Georgetown's role within this startup ecosystem?
Georgetown has a very robust life science program. We have the Lombardi Cancer Center, which is right next door to the preclinical science building where they have the biotechnology program. And then if you look at student and alumni groups, you've got Sweet Greens, Bombas, the socks that everybody loves now that now donates an additional pair. You've got Halo Top, you've got Spindrift. Those are all Georgetown companies that came out of the business school. As for the faculty staff, the IT heavy side of it, the full body CT scan, Gardasil, the HPV vaccine, Allegra. So these are, I would say, Georgetown has the strength of the research and the strength of the network, which helps bring that research to market.
That's super cool. I'm actually wearing Bombas socks right now. Very great quality socks, by the way.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to share with us, Christon, just in your experience, both working at Georgetown's Office of Technology Commercialization, but also as someone who has been very actively involved within the DMV startup ecosystem? Anything else that you want to share with the audience here?
I do want to say that political shifts in DC can influence funding opportunities, and that is stressful. But this isn't the first time that the NIH and other research institutions have faced shifting political allegiances that has impacted their funding. It happened in 1981 during Reaganomics. They cut funding to the NIH and other institutions, and it negatively impacted medical research at a pretty critical time during the AIDS epidemic. And we're seeing budget cuts now, but just because certain people are deprioritizing certain technologies or certain initiatives doesn't mean that the market is necessarily going to follow suit. The important thing for Georgetown and for Georgetown startups and researchers is to remain agile, to know that there are, and to explore additional funding opportunities. So I just want to say that though regulatory uncertainty can be a hurdle, we stay connected. Georgetown stays connected with policyholders, with industry leaders and local stakeholders to help our startups prepare for and navigate the sort of shifting allegiances and evolving regulatory and funding landscapes. But the antidote to anxiety is action. So we really focus on what it is we can impact and what actionable next steps we can take to continue making a positive societal impact, no matter who's in charge of what.
For startups and research labs who are in health tech or the tech areas that are being cut in terms of funding, are there recommendations that you have?
For Georgetown researchers, engage with our office. Look for those early stage gap funds that we're making available. Also, use the OTC and the GTV as a resource. We are in your corner. Like, we want you to find the funding. We want you to make that next great discovery. Let us know what you're working on. Look to us to be facilitators and companions on this trip from innovation to impact. That's why we're here. That's what I want to do. That's why I took this job, is because I want to help researchers take that research to market and really make that difference that I believe they set out to make.
It really goes back to what you said earlier, which is the importance of communication. And especially during a time like this, is really important for researchers who are getting impacted by these health sector area cuts to get more engaged with offices like yours, with the Office of Technology Commercialization, with the different types of university organizations. So, what type of opportunities is your office looking for? And who are the folks that you want to get more engaged with your office?
So we're really looking to attract collaborations and partnerships with funders, whether they be venture firms, angels, VCs that understand deep tech and healthcare innovation, as well as corporate partners interested in co-developing and or piloting, de-risking these cutting edge technologies. We also are always on the lookout for industry mentors and operators who can provide practical, actionable guidance to our founders. Ultimately, I would say anyone who believes in the potential of Georgetown research, please reach out. Like I'm always available. As you well know, I tend to answer emails within an hour, if not sooner, unless I'm unconscious. And please don't hold the fact that I need sleep against me. But we're always looking for collaborators who want to be part of and help facilitate the growth of the ecosystem that is, in my opinion, shaping the future of tech and biotech, specifically in DC.
Yeah, absolutely. And just in my experience working with you, Christon, I think there's so many outstanding technology that is coming out of research labs, including the ones within Georgetown. There's tons of opportunities for entrepreneurs to get involved and work with researchers to commercialize their lab research into market products. I think there's a lot of value in that type of technology collaboration. So thank you so much, Christon, for speaking with us today. This was a very insightful chat on the partnerships that universities are now seeking with the different technology commercialization offices.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure. And I can't wait to listen to the next episode. As you know, I consume these pretty rapidly. I love this podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate that.